Disaster Girl. Tech-nically Love, Book 1, by Michelle Dayton. Narrated by Lydia Dornay. Chapter 1. "Who wants dinner?" I shouted, banging on Roz's door. My 72-year-old next-door neighbor had been hobbling on the stairs when she went out for her copy of the Trib this morning. Like me, she rarely cooked. Unlike me, she hadn't quite mastered the variety of Chicago's food delivery apps. If her bad ankle was acting up again, she was probably scowling into her fridge right now. But in my hands, I held the answer to any hungry woman's dream. Spicy fried chicken sandwiches, along with sides of mac and cheese and peach cobbler for dessert. All courtesy of the Roost restaurant, conveniently located 3 blocks from our apartment building. Possibly I did their takeout a little too often. The guys who worked there had taken to yelling my usual order, extra pickles, in unison whenever I walked in. Roz's door swung open, and she peered up at me through an enormous pair of cat-eye glasses. She looked down at the bags and up at my face. "Is this a bribe so I don't mention the revolving door of dick coming out of your apartment?" My lips quivered, and I barely managed to hold a straight face. Roz's need to enter every single conversation with some sort of shocking statement or question was a quirk I adored. "Not at all," I answered. "I'd love your commentary on the amount of dick around here. And please, don't limit it to my apartment. I'd love your thoughts on the whole building." Her nostrils flared, a sure sign she was amused. She raised an eyebrow and looked at the bags again. "Is there cobbler in there?" I waved one of them under my nose. "Of course." She sniffed. "Then I'll restrain myself to one more remark." She waggled the raised eyebrow. "That young guy you brought home the other night looked like a poor man's version of Channing Tatum." I burst out laughing. Scott? I think that was his name. The guy I'd brought home from my favorite neighborhood pub on Friday night did vaguely resemble Magic Mike. He hadn't exactly rocked my world in the bedroom, but he was cheerful and friendly and knew the steps to the dance as well as I did. Drinks, laughs, sex, goodbye. A wonderful Friday night had by all. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Roz snatched one of the bags out of my hands. "As self-control isn't really one of your strengths, I suppose I should take this before you eat it all yourself." I love you too, Roz. When I was a senior citizen, I wanted to be just like her. A single, sassy, foul-mouthed, city-living workaholic who did whatever she wanted. Actually, minus 40 years, I was basically her already. Well, plus the revolving door of dick. She grinned at me and gestured inside her apartment. "You want to come in? I was just about to open a Bordeaux and start on season 2 of Outlander." Ooh, tempting. Roz was a wine snob and always had good bottles on hand. Plus, there was nothing more hilarious in the world than listening to her thoughts about kilted Scotsmen drinking whiskey, fighting, and indulging in Stars Channel sex. But I hung out with Roz all the time, and I knew how easily we could make one bottle turn into 2 and 2 episodes into 4. I shook my head. No thanks. Early night for me. I had a 9 a.m. presentation to a new client in the morning, and my boss had stressed the importance of the meeting multiple times, which wasn't like him. I wasn't worried, though. I'd done my homework and I was completely prepared. Weekend Tess might revel in unpredictable spontaneity, but workweek Tess always had her shit together. Roz's eyes twinkled. "Early to sleep, eh? I guess that makes sense. You're definitely dressed for bed." I opened my mouth wide and put my hand over my heart in mock offense. As alike as we were in other ways, Roz was old school in matters of one's appearance. She'd barely left her apartment today, but she was wearing tailored slacks, a perfectly ironed cardigan, and a face full of makeup. Along with my black leggings and thigh-high boots, I was wearing a thin t-shirt I'd slept in the night before, with no bra. It said, "Feelings are boring, kissing is awesome." My hair was in an untidy ponytail, and my eyes were smudged with last night's liner. "I'm surprised Kat let you wear that to brunch," she said. "Ha-ha. Good night," I answered, my smile fading a bit. Unintentionally, Roz had scored a point. Roz winked. "Thanks for dinner." She slammed the door without another word. In my own apartment, I threw the bag of food on the coffee table and unearthed my remote from the pile of books and blankets on my couch. Before I turned on the TV, I pulled out my phone and looked at the text message from my sister I'd received first thing this morning. "I can't make brunch today." I frowned down at the screen, just like I'd done when it first popped up. It was an unusually short message for Kat, and it was pretty weird for her to cancel on our standing tradition without explaining why. Year-round, rain or shine, we met at the same diner at noon every Sunday. Dinner could wait another minute. Biting my lip, I tapped the Facebook app on my phone. Technically, I'm not even on Facebook. I took a mouthy stand against it more than a dozen years ago to everyone who'd listen. Why do I want to see people I secretly hate posting filtered photos of how fake great their lives are? That kind of thing. But then I kind of wanted to see those stupid photos. And when Kat got old enough to have her own page, I figured it was only responsible that I be able to monitor her online activity. So I did what any intelligent, semi-sneaky person would do in such a situation. I created a fake profile using a stock photo I found of a generically cute girl jogging. Then I sent out friend requests to everyone I knew. People are more careful now, but for a while it was all about how many friends you had, so no one turned me down. I navigated to Kat's page and inhaled so sharply the sound bounced off the walls in my quiet living room. Well, at least I knew why Kat canceled on me. She'd had other brunch plans. The photo was shocking enough, but her comment underneath broke my heart. I stood and started to pace. My beloved small apartment suddenly felt claustrophobic, like it was going to collapse and smother me. I needed air. I needed a drink. I needed a distraction from the memories that now threatened to ruin my night. "You can't eat that in here, Tess." My friend Mickey, the bartender and owner of Fizz, glared at me as I perched on my regular stool and spread my enviable supper in front of me on the bar. "We have a kitchen, you know." I took a huge bite of the sandwich and rolled my eyes back in my head. So good. I chewed slowly, enjoying Mickey's scowl. "Yeah, but your food sucks." The other regulars hollered in agreement and raised their beers at me. "Cheers to that." I smiled at them and kept eating. Mickey wouldn't do anything other than glower. In addition to being friends, I was also one of her most valuable customers. As the calories hit my bloodstream, I blew out a long breath. I was feeling incrementally better after the short walk to the bar and hearing the crunching sound the dried leaves on the sidewalk made as I stomped on them with my boots. It was a good move to get out of the apartment and into the company of others. As my therapist liked to say, nothing positive comes from stewing in guilt about old mistakes. Mickey huffed. "Give me a damn biscuit at least." I generously handed her half of my extra. She popped it in her mouth, wiped a few crumbs from her coat of bright red lipstick. As always, her classic makeup was the perfect contrast to her edgy black faux hawk. "You want a bourbon?" Normally, yes. All Friday or Saturday night long. But I had that presentation in the morning. "Since it's a school night," I said. "Just one." "I saw you in here on Friday." Joe called over, waggling his eyebrows at me. No surprise there. Joe practically lived at Fizz. I didn't think I'd ever been there when his ass wasn't parked in the stool closest to the waitress stand. "Made a new friend, eh?" The other guys laughed, and I flicked my eyes to the ceiling. They loved giving me flack about the magic mics in my life. "You finally gonna keep this one?" Joe yelled. I swallowed some bourbon and cocked an eyebrow. Joe knew I couldn't stand the double standard about men and women and casual sex. "You gonna keep that girl with the nose ring you took home last week?" Joe snorted. "No," he admitted. He looked up at me again, eyes twinkling. "You didn't get lucky."